Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth part of this tutorial. Today's tutorial is going to be split in two parts. In the first part we're going to be creating the basic sunlight setup for the scene we already have, and in the second part we are going to be creating the trees that are going to be populating our forest. So let's begin with the first part. Before we go to layout, we will need to get the HDRI images that we're going to be using as a light source for our scene. You can get HDRI images anywhere in the internet, but the ones I'm going to be using were provided by our good friends from SkyFX. Some time ago they released this HDRI collection for free, so I'm going to leave this link in the description so you can download it as well. And once you download it, just open your scene in layout and I'll see you there in a second. Okay, so I already have my scene in layout. Everything's ready, so I think I can proceed to create the light setup. The first step will be to load the image we got from the internet. So I just opened the image editor, pressing F6, and I'm going to load the Sunshine HDR I just downloaded from SkyFX. The next step will be to add that image as a background, so I'm going to press Ctrl F5. And in the environment tab I'm going to be using Image World. I like Image World to use HDRs because it allows me to control the brightness of the HDRI image I'm using. So I'm just going to select Sunshine HDR, and as you can see here, we're not getting much light from the scene, and that's because we don't have our global illumination settings ready. So open the render global options and go to the global illumination tab. All we have to do is to enable the radiosity here. I like to use ambient occlusion and volumetric radiosity here, and let's increase the indirect balances. So I like it that way. I'm going to increase the intensity of the radiosity so we get a little bit more blue spill from the sky. And let's tweak a little bit more the background. So I came back here to the environment tab and I'm going to increase the brightness of the HDR. Alright, so I actually like it. So the next step we have to follow is to tweak the light that we have in the scene at the moment. Okay, so let's change the position of the light. Actually, we're only going to change the direction of the light because we're going to stick to the distant light. I like this glint we're getting in the water. I want a stronger shadow from the mountains itself. So I'm just changing the pitch of the light. I like it this way, but let's tweak the light a little bit more. So we'll open up the light properties panel, and I'm going to increase the intensity to 125% so we get a stronger glint in the water. And let's change the color. So whenever you are creating a sunlight scene, it is better if you add a color to the sun itself. The colors people normally use for the sun are somewhat amberish, and that's the reason Lightwave people added this Kelvin option over here, so it's easier for you to get the right tones for the sunlight. I like that one. Let's tweak it a little bit more. I'm going to increase the ambient intensity to 20%, and I want to change the color as well because atmosphere is too blue, so we need to add a little bit more blue to our scene. I'm going to use the Kelvin option once again. I'm going to increase the value so we get a bluish tone, and so far so good. I think we might have to tweak this light setup later once we add all the trees to our forest, but so far so good. So let's save this scene, and once you save your project, open a fresh modular document, and I'll show you how to create the tree, so see you there. Okay, so we are in Modeler now, but in order to complete this part of the tutorial, we will need to go to Denis Pontonier's website and download the DP Verdure plugin. This is a free plugin created by Dennis Pontonier. He's a fantastic artist that has contributed with some fantastic free plugins for the Lightwave community. So if you consider that donating is an option for you, please donate to his cause. He's a fantastic artist. And once you download the plugin, open up Lightwave once again, and I'll see you there. Alright, so we're back in Modeler, and now we're going to create the trees using the DP Verdure plugin we just downloaded. The DP Verdure plugin works in a specific way, and I know it's going to be a little bit confusing at the beginning, but I just need you to follow the steps. So let's go to the second layer and let's create a big sphere. So I just created a 5-meter sphere. Let's make sure we get rid of the lower part of the sphere by selecting the points and delete and let's delete them. Okay, I'm going to tweak this a little bit more, and I want to add some jitter to this point. So let's go to the modify type, transform, and let's add 400 millimeters jitter. And now we can pull this up so it's not in contact with the floor. And now let's go back to the first layer, making sure that we are looking at the sphere object, the weird sphere object we just created, and let's use the DP tree tool. Now nothing is going on, and that's because we don't have the interactive option ready and checked. So launch the plugin, open the numeric tab, and make sure we are using the interactive tree option. So the way it renders by default goes to line, but if you want to get a better or a clear view on how the tree is going to look, make sure you select either polygon or sub D. I'm going to be using sub D, and now we have our trunk ready. Now the next step would be to create the leaves that are going to populate our tree. So we need to use the second plugin that comes with the DP Verdure plugin, and to do that we need to get rid of this polygon first, and let's go to the first layer and make sure we select the whole trunk. Now that everything is selected, we can go to the utilities and load up the DP Foliage Tool. Now as you can see here, there are only a few leaves over here, and that means we need to open once again the numeric tab for this plugin. Now as you can see here, there's a preview number and a leaves number, and our preview number is way smaller than the leaves number. This means that the plugin is creating 1,000 leaves, but we are only watching 50. So we need to make sure that these numbers are the same, and the distribution is a little bit off at the moment, so we need to make sure that we have all these leaves populating the branches of our tree. So let's go to this density weight map option over here and select one of these two options. I like to use the branch finesse, and I think it's going to be that this way is going to be fine. So let's make sure we create the foliage, and now we have all this new geometry created, and it's populating our branches. So the next step will be to create our textures. So in order to do that, you need to get some trunk textures and some leaf textures from the internet. I already have some, so we can proceed. Okay, so I'm opening the surface editor, and as you can see here, the plugin already created some textures for us. So we have two different bark branch textures. We have a bark trunk, which is going to be the main trunk over here, and we have leaves texture. So let's make sure we texture this, and we're going to select the UV projection option. And when you go to the UV map option, you will see that you already have 2 different UV maps that the plugin created for you. So we're going to use the park one, and I'm going to load a park texture that I downloaded before, like this one. And as you can see here, this is the distribution that the UV map has. So since we only have 2 different sets of UV projections, I'm going to be copying this one and using it for the different branches of our tree. So I'm just replacing all the layers, and now our trunk is fully textured. Now the only thing left will be to add the texture to the leaves. So we're going to be using the leaves UV map that the plugin created, and let's use a leaves texture. So I'm using this color texture, and I'm going to copy this one to the transparency channel, and I'm going to load the alpha map for this one, and I'll make sure I invert this. So finally we have our tree ready. It's already textured. You can tweak the tree however you want, it's up to you. We're pretty much done. So in our next tutorial we'll be taking a look on how to create the different instances for our forest scene. Well, if you have any questions, just let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and to check the other tutorials I already have in my channel. Well, see you next time.